Throughout this lifespan of Zenless Zone Zero, there has been new individual content updates brought into the game. Some of them were quality of life changes such as TV mode being removed, coffee shop giving universal increase in materials, more Hollow Zero content, and more. But there is one form of content brought into the game due to player feedback on the game being too easy. Well, with that very intriguing gameplay of Mr. Pokey being blindfolded while fighting the boss out of the way, what is this endgame mode, you may ask? Well, if you're a Zenless Zone Zero player, you should be aware that at the beginning of the patch 1.4 of Zenless Zone Zero, a new endgame mode was introduced as a form of Deadly Assault. Deadly Assault is a game mode that consists of 3 bosses every rotation, with each rotation lasting 2 weeks, resetting every Friday. With this, there are 3 unique buffs to choose from to boost your team's performance against each boss. Typically, each rotation will have one buff that typically favor the limited character that is up for the patch, but the buffs are typically seen as universal enough to select from to use for any teams. So, how has Deadly Assault aged since the release of the game mode? Deadly Assault's HP has indeed steadily gone up throughout the release of the endgame. Most people would consider it the hardest form of endgame to 9-star completely. However, I believe that there is a clear cut between a need and a want. As you may know, polychromes are the main form of gacha currency in Zenless Zone Zero, and Deadly Assault requires only 6 stars to achieve max polychrome rewards. So, if this is the case, where getting all gacha related rewards is easy enough to do, why are people so invested in the idea of max clearing? Well, it mainly boils down to FOMO, the classic term fear of missing out. Typically, people see this HP inflation as an issue due to being unable to max clear like how some pro players do. But is this the case? From various clears on YouTube, several channels have posted various free-to-play teams clearing Deadly Assault bosses with over 20k points needed for 3 stars. So why is this fear-mongering potentially skyrocketed with a new patch of Zenless Zone Zero 2.0? Well, it comes down to a new boss being introduced in the game that has a new mechanic built into it. This mechanic is called Miasma.
Oh no!
So what exactly is Miasma as a person in or out of the Zenless Zone Zero space? Miasma is a mechanic that increases the enemy's defense, resistance, and makes it so that characters are unable to stun it. It is shown as a red bar indicator overlapping the stun meter. Conveniently, there is a character releasing alongside the new boss named Yi Xuan. Character showcases of the creator beta test servers have been circulating, and there have been people concerned about the potential effectiveness that Yi Xuan brings against the boss versus other units in the past. So, this seems like a horrible term for the game, but the actual mechanic needs to be discussed first. How does Miasma Bar get depleted? Well, it is pretty simple. In the random play manual, it is stated that Miasma Bar depletes much more quickly through the use of dodge counters, defensive assists, as well as ultimates. These are all mechanics that are present in the game currently. So what makes Yi Xuan apparently different? Well, Yi Xuan has a mechanic in her kit that gives her a different ultimate. This can be seen as a tighten off by selling the character as a must pull, but the Miasma Bar actually can be dealt with pretty easily without even using Yi Xuan. Through this exemplar video from Hako, with the team of Vivian, Trigger, and Yanagi, they have been able to decently chunk down the Miasma Bar about a third with only using Trigger's ultimate. This is seen pretty decent honestly compared to Yi Xuan, who I'm going to show you next. As you can see, the relative amount of miasma bar that was depleted was relatively the same with one rotation of ultimate with each one using it. This is where I'll say that the second ultimate comes in handy for Yishuan, as it makes the character able to deplete the miasma bar even more. But if just regular characters can clear and Yishuan is not a must-pull scenario, why has this become such an issue out of proportion? Well, several creators outside the Zenless Zone Zero space, such as Sing Tontas, Captain Cabinets, and Tectone, to name a few, have been criticizing the difficulty and shilling of newer characters brought into the game. These creators I listed are mainly known for their relevance towards Wuthering Waves, another gacha game made by Koro Games. You may think that this may not have that much of an impact on the conversation, but there is some nuance towards this point. Wuthering Waves, like I said, is a gacha game that came out last year on May 22nd. This game has mainly focused its aspects to compete in the open world RPG market that is shared with Genshin Impact, the gacha game that you may say changed the entire view of gacha games in the entire world. Wuthering Waves also promoted that their content would be difficult and challenging. I do be it, there are a lot of gamers foaming at the mouth for Camellia, but I digress. This was a huge jab at the Genshin Impact game itself, as players mainly complained how there was not enough real endgame content other than the infamous Spiral Abyss. This allowed Wuthering Waves to garner quite a huge player base, not only with the marketing, but listening to the player base, which Genshin Impact developers were notorious for not doing. So, why is the Wuthering Waves community a major factor in the active drama surrounding this Miasma and Yishuan edition? It mainly comes down to one main stereotype. It's a Hoyoverse game. Yep, I'm not even joking with this one. There have been a bad track record of Hoyoverse titles such as Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin Impact, and Honkai Star Rail ruining the endgame player experience by making it so unbalanced. Wuthering Waves community has also grown its player base, with some of them becoming extremists, trying to shut down any competitors. In this case, it's Zenless Zone Zero after the anniversary livestream. Although this being a Hoyoverse title is a valid concern, why do I think this is unhealthy for criticizing the game of Zenless Zone Zero? Well, let's be for real, who in the world is freaking gonna critique this game when you can literally look at Evelyn's armpits and wish to be sat on by her? Who said that? Anyways, moving on. I believe this concern will most likely harm the space because it is basically a form of fear-mongering. From what I've seen from the Zenless Zone Zero developers, they have actively done a pretty good job updating the game, listening to players, and implementing fun content. Being gloom and gloom that Zenless Zone Zero is following the same path as the other games created by Hoyoverse does not really bring any positivity other than waiting for the worst. However, is this active critiquing of the game by content creators outside the Zenless Zone Zero space allowed? Of course it's allowed. We as people should be able to critique a game regardless of our stance in the gacha space. In any game space, we should be able to critique a game because that's what makes things better. Critiquing something always makes potentially the product better, in this case Zenless Zone Zero. And us people can have our own stances and opinions regardless if you're a content creator or just a player. We can spread this information through our community as well. But when we're having this stance, we should always form arguments with the basis of evidence that we have to prove our claim. These content creators have not been doing this, especially Sing Tontas trying to double down on his terrible take about HP inflation. It honestly hurts my brain because he's literally being a hypocrite on his own videos. Like, just please leave us alone. Like, I cannot believe this. But anyways, these sorts of creators should not bring critiques into the game, nor should they be validated by people. Like, absolutely, they should not be validated by people as they're just empty claims. But when we have a healthy debate, we can have multiple sides be true all at the same time and promote a healthy discussion to discuss about the future of the game. Thank you for watching this, I guess, short vid. This one's a short vid. I don't know. Like, subscribe. I don't know. Question mark. I saw that my last video got quite a couple of views, and I don't know. I just want to spread the most like positive energy from here, making people aware about the current situation of the game that we all like, and just shutting down people who promote negative energy. So thank you once again, and see you next time.